a few things around to get it on one line, which seemed to make a big difference. So
Yeah, that's always the problem with the
hyperlink.
links, because all it does is it gets it gets a space put in.
Do you have to double check with when you use your phone and then your regular website? You got to check both sides on that? Because I know when I do my pictures on my website, I got to make sure it looks the same, and I sometimes have to change it around.
Okay, Roger, why don't we kick it off? We've got 25. I'll troubleshoot any of the rest, and then
It would be. Oh, was Clint not going to start?
Well,
No,
Roger's the
I was
outgoing.
just going to
Oh, okay. I'm
start
sorry.
the meeting and introduce.
Okay.
So
Got
welcome,
it.
everybody. This is the Menomonee Falls Camera Club September meeting. Glad to have everybody here. I was last month's president, or last year's president, and I've been kind of not keeping up with things that have been happening in the last couple of weeks. I've been to Minnesota, Michigan, and Montana in the last couple of weeks. So, but now we can start with the new president who's really on the ball, and
Hope so.
Clint Wesel takes some.
Yeah, Clint Wesel here.
Wesel takes some fantastic pictures. He's the one with the black T-shirt in the restaurant. So, Clint, I'm going to let you take over as the new president. Good luck to you.
Okay. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you, Roger, for last year.
Yeah. Thank you for all your what you've done for over the last year. So thank you. So hopefully everyone enjoyed their summertime and were able to get out and take some pictures. So, well, if no one's ever paid the Menomonee Falls camera dues, it's in the newsletter on page, I believe it's 4. Page 4, there's a quick link for $20 to pay. Anyways, next is, do we have any comments or anything about Waco or Waco? Waco or PSA?
Yeah, we have a couple of things. I'll talk about the competition first, which is coming up in November. It is now open and accepting entries. So the 2 sections are natural landscape for nature and urban landscapes for open. So get your images in. If you have any questions, it's open till about the second week of October, about the middle of October. And then it will close. So get your images in. If you've never entered before, you can contact either myself or Ken Warning, and we'll be glad to help you enter. And if you've never entered, you do need to sign up for the uploader, which does take 24 to 48 hours for us to approve you. So you just go to the WACO website, and there's links there to tells you what to do and how to enter. So we have that going on. The other thing that's coming up actually before that would be on October 21st, Saturday, from 9 till about noon. We have the Birds of Prey photo shoot at the Schlitz Audubon Center. It's $85 for the early registration, which goes until the 1st of October, and then it goes up to $110. We're about halfway sold out. So thank you to those that have already signed up. And for those of you that haven't, I would suggest signing up. real soon. I believe there's a link in the newsletter, and otherwise it's also at the WACO website at wicamera.clubs.org under program. PSA, I have absolutely no idea what's coming up. So they haven't announced their next month or next year's schedule. They'll come out this fall. They're meeting sometime in November next. And once I get one of those newsletters, I will let everybody know at the upcoming meeting what PSA will be doing. You do need to be a PSA member to be able to join the PSA chapter. Chapter dues are inexpensive at $5 a piece. The PSA membership dues are $45 for the year. I think they're 45. I think that's all I've got. One other thing, Clint, before I get it back to you, just to let everybody know that we do have the new system that's on the website for paying dues. You can pay now just by clicking a button and paying by credit or debit card or by PayPal account. You have either option now. We had a problem with it before where all you could do was pay by PayPal, or if you wanted to use a credit card, you had to sign up for a PayPal account because they changed everything. We've fixed that, and now you'll be able to pay with a credit or debit card or with your own PayPal account without having to set up a PayPal account if you're just doing a credit card. So hope that makes it easier to sign up. Please get your dues in. Now you have absolutely no reason to pay your dues. And to those of you that have paid your dues, thank you for getting your dues in already. And I'll turn it back to you, Clint.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, I guess there might be a few field trips. One would be September 15th through October 29th. That would be the China Lights. That seems like it would be a fun event to go to. I know a few people gone there, got some beautiful pictures. The next trip would be, I have Flight for Life coming out at the EAA Chapter 1158. That's Wednesday, September 20th. I called them on Friday. So as of right now, Flight for Life should be landing at 6:30, weather permitting. The last field trip that I'm aware of would be September 24th, down at Hales Corners for the Racine Society for checking out the moon, checking out, I think, Saturn, Jupiter, and stuff like that. I know Brian Jansen, he's the one that's putting that on, and I'm not sure if Brian is here tonight or not.
Yeah, actually, that's in
yeah.
Racine. It's actually in Union Grove.
Union Grove.
Yeah. And yeah, we'll be setting up that night. Keep our fingers crossed for good weather. We want clear skies, but we'll be looking through the 16-inch telescope. I'll be showing people how we do photography through the telescopes. And then we'll be looking at the moon, Jupiter, and Saturn probably.
And then we're supposed to get there at 6 o'clock. Is that correct?
No, probably a little later. Let me look at the schedule for
Okay.
the moon and planets and sunset.
And I do know the rain date looks like it's the September 26th, which is a Tuesday.
Yep. So let's see. Sunsets at 6:45. So I'd say we probably start about 7:30.
Okay.
And let's
Now, how
see,
many people do you want to show up? Was it like 12 or 15 people about max?
yeah, that's probably a good number. just because the dome gets crowded. And we want to have enough time for everybody to take a look through the scope and look through at all three objects. So we don't want to have to rush anybody because, you know, we're a long line. So
Correct. Well, I think maybe too, and that was maybe people can email me my email account, Clinton Wesel or clint1226@hotmail.com. We can do probably a sign up sheet and see how many people can get on the list on showing up by you guys. How many people would be willing to go there? I know I would like to go. Okay, so we got a few people.
okay.
Brian, if you'd be good enough to maybe send me directions, I can send out to everybody the directions to the observatory.
Sure. I can do that.
Yeah, it looks
Yeah.
like it's 4 miles off the freeway west. You get off on exit 333, Highway 20, I think.
Yep.
So it's
Yeah.
approximately about 4 miles just west of the freeway
Yeah.
in Union Grove.
So yeah, I can email that out to everybody. That way the people that aren't here tonight can know where it's at, and we'll give them some information.
I know the directions are, at least for the Kettle Moraine EAA chapter 1158, the address is in the newsletter. I don't see
Is it?
for
Okay.
the observatory. I'm not quite sure on that. I didn't look at it real quick.
Yeah, it's 112 63rd Drive in Union Grove. And I can send that to you, Jeffrey.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Now, next thing is I got to ask Roger, by chance, Roger, do you have a slideshow for any pictures people submitted earlier over the summer? Can't hear you. Got yourself
You're-
muted.
No, I don't have anything.
Okay. Well, maybe there's some pictures in the newsletter. I know there's some beautiful pictures in there. So, well, I guess the next thing would be is show and tell.
Clint, there's one semi-decent picture that I put in there for the summer events.
Okay.
Some of the rest are from it was a very dry dry month for photos for the newsletter. So I threw in a few of the picnic ones because we had a good turnout and it was a nice, wonderful night. So have to do that every year. So
It's fun. I always look forward for that, and I look forward for already for Christmas for the pizza party and Christmas
Okay.
party. So that'll be a lot of fun in that. So
yeah, it was great.
So, well, I guess the next thing would be is we can do show and tell with pictures. Patty, would you like to go first?
Sure. Figure out what I'm doing here. All righty. And get it to work. Okay, so I just put together a little collection of pictures that I took over the summer. And I just went up to Regner Park to the Labyrinth Garden Saturday, and I'd been meaning to get up there all summer, and I finally just in the afternoon on the spur of the moment, I just decided to drive on up there and do it. So anyway, got a few pictures from that and a few others. So this is one. I have no idea what kind of flower it is, maybe a dahlia, but I'm not sure. And I used some filters and stuff to make it look a little bit more dreamy and prettier than the actual
Tricia,
photo
I'm just
started.
seeing your pictures on your desktop. I'm not seeing any enlargement.
Oh, heck. Yeah, I've got it enlarged on my,
Oh, is it you? Do you have two screens that you're working with?
let me see
Okay.
here. Let me get rid of this.
Yeah, because we're just seeing the thumbnails right
Oh,
now.
okay. Well, shoot. Hang on, I can't even,
Right. Drop out of screen sharing, and when you go to screen sharing, make sure you click on just your desktop and not on the app itself, and that should do it.
um, let me
It
try
should be the first window would be just the
Do you
desktop.
have a
There we
picture
go.
of the flower? Okay,
Yep, now we have it.
all right. So number one, that's the one I was talking about. I used a bunch of filters and stuff. I'm using Nix software and just tried a bunch of different stuff until I got something I like. Then this is a plant called spurge. I liked all the little pastel colors and the variegated type leaves. And this is another one I played around with some filters. I want to say this was the analog effects. And this is a cone flower that's seen better days, but still kind of interesting. And this is an ornamental kale. I like the graduated colors from purple in the center to the aqua to the green on the outer edges. And this is, I have no idea, another flower. No clue what it is. And I think this is some kind of zinnia. And I've got a bee picture I was actually happy with for a change. And I think these are, I don't know, more zinnias maybe. I don't have a clue. And then they had these plants that had black leaves and black berries. And then every now and then there was a red one in there. And here's a few pictures from the rodeo. And I have no clue if I've shown these before or not. But these were my favorite ones from the summer. Then here's from the sunflower farm. This little guy's got a heart on his back. I kind of liked him. That's a close up. And more water drops. And I think I'm done. That's it.
Yeah, very nice. Beautiful.
Thank you.
Beautiful colors. All right, well, I guess I'm gonna have to share my screen. I'm gonna flip this here, minimize that. All right, screen, share screen. I'm gonna do my desktop. Give me a quick minute. Actually, that screen. And then share. Then I should be able, okay. Everyone sees my website right now, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, so I actually maybe might be a little easier to show my pictures from my website. Well, anyways, here's my website. I have each category, let's say for aviation, flyouts, favorites, commercial, portraits, live music, nighttime, churches, lighthouses, sunset, sunrises, waterfalls, pathways, and sports. So I'll go up to favorites. Click on favorites. And then I guess I can go through each individual picture by itself. So I like my cars, and that this was downtown Chicago, and that thought it was kind of cool with the lighting and stuff like that. Camping, this was in Lower Michigan. I like how the tree is, the silhouette. I like the nice, beautiful, like crystal clear lake. Nice mirror reflection. This is all over in Holland, Michigan for a tulip festival. I like at noon. I like shooting at noon because these tulips look like light bulbs. They're all glowing. So I like how it looks. Waterfall, I like waterfalls, beautiful. That's probably my favorite thing I like in nature. This was over by Mount St. Helen when I climbed Mount St. Helen. And then that's Mount Rainier. 2 days later, I climbed that. Another picture of Mount Rainier with the Mirror Lake. I believe this was in North Cascade, Washington. I like the bend in the river and that. You can't see on top of the mountain with the clouds. Thought that was pretty gorgeous. I camped like basically, I think on top of the hill. Kind of cool area. This was in Glacier National Park. I decided to drive up a mountain. This is actually in Mount Revelstoke, I believe how you pronounce it, in Canada. And when I drove up the mountain, that it was getting deep with snow and that. Anyways, I thought this was kind of cool with the snow frost. I thought that was pretty cool. I like this train. It goes into the mountain, does a 360, and comes out on the bottom. So I thought that was pretty cool to see that. Grand Canyons, I hiked, it's like, I think 6.1 miles just one way, dropped 6 out. No, you don't drop. You drop 3,600 feet in elevation. And then that's what I had to climb back up. It's like, oh, you know, so that was kind of cool. Some more waterfalls. I like the Cascades, how it keeps on. Another waterfall. I think there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 waterfalls there. I believe this is Rainbow Bridge in that. This is by Jasper, just right outside of Banff. I like the moose in the background in that. And it was incredible. You know, like how a dog shakes its you know, when a dog jumps in the water and then jumps out and then shakes to get all the water off. You can hear that. The moose did the same thing, and it just echoed through this. And I was like the only one there. It was really cool. The Big Shot and the roller coaster ride on top of the stratosphere. So I did both of them. That was kind of fun. And then this is the observatory, the Griffin Observatory in LA. I'm up by the Hollywood sign, and it's downtown LA. Another waterfall. This is Upper Falls, I think, in Yosemite. I like the redwoods. Been in the redwoods, beautiful. I like how the tree just like towering into the sky. Another big I think that's General Sherman tree, the largest living tree on the planet, I guess. And then I like how the redwood is just disappearing right into the fog. Another redwood. And then this is Death Valley. Thought that was kind of cool. Balance Rock. One of the this is in Arch National Park. This is in Canyonland. I drove down. It's like the Grand Canyons. You can walk down, although that walk for miles. But I spent all day driving into the down into the canyon and out. I think took me like 8-10 hours to drive through there. And then this was in Colorado. I thought this was cool with all the snow and that, and I think that's an old miners building in the center. And then this is the I'm sorry, Rocky Mountains in over by Boulder, Colorado. So I guess that's it. My time is up. I think now is Jeff is going to be doing the presentation on backups, passwords,
And all sorts of good things.
yeah, storing backup and passwords and that, which I think, I really need, to do a lot more passwords and stuff like that too myself.
Yeah, well,
Before Jeff starts, can I just say that
Yep.
we don't have a topic yet for the all member show? Usually by this time, we have something so people can kind of start to be aware of what we're looking for. So I don't know if we want to do that at the end of the meeting or come back next month with topics.
we could do that. Why don't we do that now so we get it done?
Okay.
It
My
works for
talk
me.
can go as long as it needs to or as short as it needs to.
Okay. Love that.
So,
Well, does anybody have any ideas or suggestions that they would like?
don't all speak at once. This sounds like our organizational meeting when we couldn't come up with what we wanted to do.
Okay. Or we'll pick one.
It
And
just started out rocky.
How about street photography?
Yeah, street photography would be cool. Is everyone else up for that?
Hmm,
I don't know if that's a
You
yes
want
or a
it?
no.
Yeah. That can be a tough one to do, depending on what you mean by street photography, I guess.
I have a suggestion, but it might be like part of my slideshow in November. So, but there's one, I love abandoned buildings, and that's just something that you see on some of the road sites. I don't like abandoned in Wisconsin or, the old cars in the field.
Sure.
That's fun. I actually have that as June for one of the president challenges, and that for abandoned and that. So anything that's
I knew it
abandoned.
was a great idea, Clint. Sorry.
No, it is a great idea because it's cool because you got abandoned cars, abandoned houses, you got all sorts of really cool, unique abandoned stuff.
Okay, there goes my November slideshow. I'll come up with something different.
But no, that's okay. That's okay. You can
Oh.
still do it. We might learn, and actually this will be actually teaching them like, well, what they can do for June.
Yeah, there you go.
So you're giving my ideas in that. So I like that. So don't change it.
Well, my 2 cents here is always that we want the largest participation we can get.
Yep.
And therefore, the topic should be really broad. And
No, you could do abandoned and that would give it a pretty broad appeal. Probably a little more broad than street photography. That gets
Yeah.
to be.
and of
little
course, I
tougher.
accept anything that anybody sends in.
Yeah,
I don't always get the connection between topic and image,
But
but
somebody did, somebody thought of a connection.
yeah,
or, even if it's a lonely dandelion in the middle of a field, it's abandoned there, so.
I come up with something creative in that, and that's what I try to do with the president challenge, to try and make you guys think outside the box.
That actually brings up another idea. What about photographing something that we see every day? It can be anywhere, but you do it at such an angle or an image that it's hard to tell what the real subject is. So I don't want to say like abstract art, but like a different angle. I don't know. I've got it in my mind. I just can't put it into words.
A unique view, a unique
Unique view.
viewpoint.
Right, which you don't really see the flower, but now you're seeing the shape of the leaf or the variegation of it, or it could be in buildings, texture, anything.
What about guilty pleasure? That could be like so many different things to so many different people.
Cool.
Go.
Hmm.
Right about now, mine would be a picture of a cupcake.
Getting me hungry for some snacks.
I'd be thinking chocolate.
I go for some Mackinac Island fudge ice cream.
There you go.
Okay, so we got to come up with a couple more ideas. If not, maybe it might be good for Jeff to start his presentation and then we can think about it.
Well,
Yeah,
playing off of
I'm putting
Elizabeth's-
together a poll here. Year and slide.
Well, playing off of Elizabeth's, maybe my favorite things.
How about doorways? Just something unique or different with doorways.
Yeah, I like that one too.
Yeah, that's
Always fun.
because they can be old, they can be parts of a doorway, it can be, yeah, that's a
Barn
It can
good
be
door.
open, it can be closed,
Yeah,
Yeah,
What's
door
on the other
nail.
side?
probably doorways and gates, I would think.
Looks like Barry's got a door.
Mm,
So it's like, what's on the other side of that door?
A closet.
Same thing with Ken. What's that door?
Well, let's see. So
Hmm.
far, I've got abandoned, guilty pleasures, doorways, and
would
unique
Probably
point.
include gates in that too.
Okay. Unique points of view, doorways and gates. That gives us, that's 4 different choices. Is that enough?
yeah, yeah.
You don't want to.
It is too many and we're overwhelmed.
Well, the question is, do you want to put that abandoned, even though it's still, for the monthly challenge for the president?
Yeah. Well, we could see how it does and
Go from there.
go from there. I mean, this just gives us, let's see if I've got to make everything be anonymous. We'll see if this even works. I haven't tried creating a poll on the fly, so.
Well, you do realize that you have Clint abandoned for June. And
Yes,
that's when the slideshow, the member slideshow is going to be, because
Okay.
July is the picnic.
yes,
So
correct.
it's whether Linnea wants to do her abandoned and then the whole slideshow is abandoned, or
Yeah, okay.
duplicate it. I'm just saying,
Yeah.
saying that for,
I hate to throw this up now, but what about water?
I
We
think
did
we
that
did water
one. a
We
while
just
back.
did that one not too long ago, I think.
not too long ago, yeah.
All right. Yeah,
Okay, so I can't vote.
Yeah, no, that's not gonna work because panelists can't vote. Oh, well. We'll just have to do it by raising hands.
Oh, how crude.
That's the one trouble with doing it the way we do things here, so.
But raise your
Okay.
hands. Don't forget 2 hands, though, all right? You gotta count them as individuals.
So, we'll start with abandoned. Anybody want that? Raise your hand.
I think it's okay.
Well, this doesn't include the people that aren't panelists, so.
Raise your hand.
They can raise their Zoom hand. For those that, everybody's a panelist except for one person, so.
Okay.
So I'm trying to tell here, but it's hard.
Someone, Sally has to put her hand down from before though.
Or maybe she's got a question though.
Yeah, I think she put it in the chat. It's been up since she
Yeah.
put something in
Okay.
chat.
Well, it looks like everything keeps jumping on me here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I got about 7.
Okay.
Guilty pleasures.
Doesn't look
Let me
like
see.
too many cakers.
2.
Two.
Unique point of view. Looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Looks like about 5. And then doors and gates.
Don't forget 2. 1, 2.
Well, it looks like doors and gates has it. I've got more hands than we've had for any of the others, so. Looks like doors and gates it should be.
All right, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, the doors would be kind of cool because I mean you can do car doors, you can do yachts, any type of door. It'd be cool. It'd be interesting.
So when I'm on the yacht, I should take pictures?
You should
Okay, will do.
Of the doors, yes.
go
Yeah.
into the bathroom, take pictures. It's a door.
Oh,
Oh, there are
dear.
some fantastic bathroom doors. Really.
Hey, some bathrooms are pretty nice,
Yeah,
and some of
I
those doors
know.
are really nice to some of these elaborate dinner places or banquet halls. Like, my God, this is gorgeous.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all right. I can tell you
Something
one
that
of
might-
two casa is about 14 tons worth of door because I can never get the thing open when I go there for Mexican food in Menomonee Falls.
I know Holy Hill, they got those pretty big doors there too.
Oh,
That's another
yeah.
idea too. I was there, I think last week or was it 2 weeks ago? It's hard to keep track on this. Last week, Monday.
Okay, so onward from doors to
onward.
passwords.
Okay.
So, this should be sort of interesting. Hopefully everybody can see my password and images screen. So I don't know how many people, how they do passwords. We got talking about this at the planning meeting. And I know a lot of people just do passwords by a book, piece of paper, notes stuck to your computer, all sorts of different ways, or you go with a really simple password, 1, 2, 3, 4, or your name and nothing. I had a friend that had his Wi-Fi router set up with admin and no password so that anybody could get into his router if they wanted to. For me, I've got 700 passwords. Yeah. And so I have a couple of different ways that I go about doing it. I've talked about this, I think, once before a while ago, but there are password managers out there and a lot of different ways to do it. With all the passwords we have, I just looked and I have 754 different passwords and logins that I do for programs and keeping track of things. So trying to do that on paper is hard, especially since I have 2 different computers, one upstairs and one here where I do my Zoom meetings. So it would be really hard to keep a notebook with all those passwords in it. Plus, these days, passwords need to be a little more fancier than 1, 2, 3, 4 or Apple plug something, Apple 2.3. I used to use Apple and a different number every time. And nowadays, my passwords are 14, 15 characters long. Paper can also be lost or stolen. Plus, if you've got your phone, you need the passwords on the phone. So a password manager makes it a little easier. You can do it with a notebook. A spreadsheet saved to a cloud, say Apple Cloud or Google Cloud, is okay, except that it's not very secure. Microsoft, Apple, and Google all have their own password managers built into their browsers, and that can work fairly well. It's not super secure, although Apple's is probably the most secure because they use something like a 30-character hashtag with numbers, letters, and characters. So that can work. The digital password manager programs, though, can be nice and handy because you've got it on all your devices. You can access it fairly easily, and they create the password. So paper, again, it's the most common method that I've found with most everybody. It's usually a notepad stuck in their desk drawer. I have a couple people that I've actually seen Post-it notes on their screen. But easy for somebody to steal, easy to lose. Plus you have to come up with your passwords manually. If you store it in a cloud on a spreadsheet, that works a little better. But again, you never know how safe the cloud is. And some of these passwords, especially your banking passwords, are pretty, you need to really be protective with them. Plus, you still have to create the password, and that's always hard. It is free, so it doesn't cost you anything. Microsoft has something built into their browser. Security is definitely lower on Microsoft than Apple and Google, but Google does have it on their browser. If you use their Chrome browser, they will keep track of your passwords, and you can monitor that in the Google app. Apple has their Apple Keychain, which lets you have very fancy passwords, and they'll keep track of it. Or you can create your own, and Apple will keep track of it. And it's all locked behind their wall that is really hard to get through. It's saved to iCloud, so it goes to all your devices with the Apple. And it will create very difficult passwords, which is always important. And Google does save everything, like I said, to their browser. I use MSecure. They have two versions. Their basic version is $2 a month. Their premium version is $3 a month. Both of them sync to a number of different clouds. You can do it to Dropbox. And it's an encrypted 256 character encryption, so it's very secure. I actually use iCloud to sync my MSecure files, so that I'm not a big fan of Dropbox. I find them not all that secure and overly complicated for me to use. The iCloud is just easier, and both work with it. The nice part with MSecure is that you can store a lot of different items, so that if you want to store, I store all my license numbers for all my programs in there, my driver's license, my passport, my insurance information, all the stuff, anything that you need, you can actually store in these password managers. They work with most browsers to do logins. They create very complex passwords. And like I said, you can store your credit card, your driver's license, all the different stuff, even photos of it right in MSecure. So it's fairly easy to use. Really, all you need to do is have to remember one password, and that's the password to get into the program. That one you should make somewhat difficult, but a lot of people use sentences, something that's a little longer than 8 or 10 characters, so that you can get in to it and nobody's going to be able to figure it out. Another one that's very popular with a lot of people is 1Password. Pretty much works the same as MSecure. A little more expensive. It's $3 for one person or $5 for a family. It will generate complex passwords, but it does fill in the passwords a little easier on websites for logins. Again, you only need one password to remember, and that's the one to get into the program. Now, the bad part with that is if you forget that password, nobody can help you out. You're stuck. So you got to make sure that you keep that somewhere or can remember it and yet have it complex enough. 1Password, they have a lot, it works with a lot of different apps, all the different browsers that are out there. It can create different passwords. It has a lot of storage. These programs don't take up a lot of space. The other thing that people should think about, especially for your banking and for important items, is to do two-factor authentication. It's too late at night to say these long words. I use that for like our website and for my banking and important things, so that when I try to log into something, besides giving my password, it then sends a text to my phone that will then give me a code that I plug in. So anything that's really a lot more critical, I do two-factor authentication. That just gives an extra layer of protection. You can share 1Password with up to 5 people. And it's one that works fairly decent. There's a couple of others that I checked out. Keeper Password Manager is a rather popular one. RoboForm Pass, which is a free one. NordPass, they're a relatively big company and they have one. And Dashlane, these were all like in the top 10 password managers. And they all give you free trials, so you can start out and try them, see how you like them, and see if it's something that would work for you. Now, I'm going to try something that I probably can be dangerous for me, but let me show you how it works. So I just have to type in my password when I want to get into my manager. And actually, I've got 809 I'm up to. I've added a few. Almost 600 login ones for logging into stuff. I've got 11 credit cards. What's nice is it tells me too, I have 437. These are old password places that the passwords are not very secure. So it's warning me that I should probably update it. And then I've broken it down into a bunch of different categories for the different groups that I work with, so that I got stuff that I can actually do. But to set up a password, say if I wanted to log into a website, all you have to do is put in, you can title it up here, put in the URL of the website, your username, which nowadays a lot of websites just ask for your email. So it even gives you a drop down of some of the constant ones that I've used to use as a username. The password, you just hit this little dice and it pops up, and this is my standard setting for a password. And this is the one it created for this particular website. And you could see now it's just including letters, both capital and non-capital, and then numbers. I don't have any special characters, but I can include all special characters, and then it changes it and adds the special characters. Or some sites have that you can only include certain types of characters. So you can go down here and type those in, and then it will add those characters to the password. So you can do characters, you can do words. I've never used the word one. To me, that I figure 14 letters, numbers, and characters work just fine. You can go all the way up to 40, which is about what Apple uses. So when you click use it, it then, and I'll just use my email for the club. So then I can save it. And then when I want to go and then if they ask you security questions, you can put in the answers to the security questions in here. You can add more fields, and they have some that are password type fields, sensitive number fields. You can do date fields, all sorts of things that you can add to that. And you just click save. Yeah, I know, I need a description. So I'll just make this a test for now. Click save. And so it's always hidden even to anybody that would open this. And then if you wanted to look at it, you can look at it. But otherwise you can just copy it and paste it. Or if I go to certain websites and it asks me, I can actually tell it to paste in from either MSecure, or if I'm using, and I do use some of Apple's own stuff to put in my passwords. So it's a easy way to keep track of a lot of different passwords, and it's a lot safer. Now, Apple is coming up with something, and there is something called a passkey, which is going to be something new coming out that may do away with a lot of password stuff, but not everybody's joined yet. So it's going to be a while before some of that actually happens. But it's automatically syncs to everything. So I can pull out my phone and I have all my passwords with me. I don't have to go looking around for it. It's always there. So that's the nice part about it.
So I'm confused. So
Okay.
you get, I'm sure it's elementary here. If I have that service, like the example that you just gave, but let's say it's Topaz, so I log in, I just go to the Topaz website. What do I do to get that password? I mean, do I have to go out there to that manager and copy and paste it?
Sometimes It's built into the browser, so you can, when you open the browser and it asks, it will bring up with, you're on Windows?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm not positive how it does it, but it should bring up a little dialog box that says, fill in the password for Topaz. And it will plop in the password and that. I don't know, can I do that?
I have one password and you put a browser extension in and there's a little blue circle that comes up every time you open up something that needs a password and it'll just fill it in for you.
Yeah. So like here, this is how it looks with Safari. It pops up with this and says M-Secure. Now this is the Apple browser. And then if you were on your phone, you could do your fingerprint. And it gives you the choice. Now let's see if, otherwise what you may have to do sometimes is just open up the app and then copy the password. And most of the time, you know what your, username is going to be. Yeah, it doesn't, they don't show it. If I, see if I go to Topaz Labs, although I was just logged in here, so I may not be able to do it. Yeah.
While you're bringing that up, what was the issue with the LastPass? You know, one of the programs that actually got hacked itself.
Yeah, all the information for the stuff was in their cloud, and some hacker got all that information on it. I don't think they actually got passwords, but they got close to the password stuff. They used what they called a brute force by just constantly trying different password combinations until they finally broke in and was able to get a lot of the information. So LastPass is sort of not doing too well. See if I can find an account. I'm signed into all these accounts. That's funny.
Well, log on to one, Jeff.
Yeah, I've got too many browsers going here.
Quick question
Let's
is,
see.
let's say this is all on your laptop, if someone stole your laptop and if you're logged on or in everything, do they have access to everything then?
Well, they could, but they'd have to know the password to your password manager, and they'd have to know the password to your computer, which you should have. I can't even figure out where I'd log out of Topaz. Jeez.
Yeah, it says log out right down right where you had to change my details, dashboard, my product. Go down farther, Jeff. Down more, a little more. Keep going. Right there.
Oh, there it is. Okay, thanks, Clint. All right. So see, as soon as I go, it brings up my password, and it just fills it all automatically, and then I can just log in. So that's how easy it is with it.
That what you were describing earlier, it's great to have a password on your desktop or a laptop. If you don't have a password to that, now they got access to everything, it looks like.
Right. So my computer has a password to log into the computer. Actually, I have several ways I can actually log into my computer using my Apple Watch, but I have numerous different ways, but I have also a difficult, not a real difficult password, but a password that only I would know to log into my computer. And that way nobody can get in there. And then if they would happen to find out that password, my M-Secure password is another password that they'd have to come work through. So it's just
Jeff,
better than pen and paper.
Jeff, how do you control the two-step protocol?
The two-factor, let's see, is there somebody that I've got that on? What it does is, once you set it up, it will usually, you put in your name and password, and then the next step after that is will say, send a text to your phone, or sometimes it can be send an email, and it will then give a 6-code number that you then plug in, and then that gets you into the app.
Now,
or,
does your MPass do that for you?
No, that is really set up with most of the
So like-
programs.
Yeah, so like my bank has that, so I use it for my banking.
Right.
But
Yeah,
your
so-
password manager doesn't have two-step authorization within it.
No, the only two-step that you have with the password manager is before you go log into it, you could you could set up two-factor authentication so that you couldn't get into the password manager until you did the code. I don't do that because it's just, I think it's one too many steps to go through.
Yeah.
But
Question.
Yep.
Question. Are biometric logins safe?
Yeah. Most of them are. There's no two fingerprints that are quite the same. And with the iPhone, the face recognition, the only time that it messes up is if it's an identical twin. And even then, there's slightly differences. So they found that it's very safe with either the fingerprint or facial recognition.
I would
I know
worry about-
more for the iPhone than for the others, but I would think the others are just as good too.
Only thing I would worry about is, with the fingerprints and stuff like that, because I've been in a severe accident. I almost lost my leg. If I lose my arm or, hand in that, well, now what? Am I going to carry my dead hand with me?
Well, then you always have a way around it, Clint. Like my iPhone, if my Face ID doesn't work because it's too dark in the room or something, then I have a 6-digit code that I punch in.
Yeah.
So you always have a backup to that stuff. But yeah, that can happen. For my MacBook Pros, all of them use a fingertip. Well, I have 2 different fingers programmed in for each computer so that it doesn't have a problem. My watch turns on, logs in for most of my computers as well, and the watch has to be on my arm for it to unlock my computer. And I have to punch in a code on my watch when I put the watch on. So somebody would have to know that code as well. So yeah, there's always something that's going to be weak in it, but it's better than not doing anything or doing it all on paper.
Something that I would mention is that you always want a computer to have a screen lock with a password on it. That some people don't think of that with their home computer on their desk. That
Right.
when it goes into screensaver or whatever, it should lock with a password for you to unlock it.
Yep. Yep. And I do that too. It's 5 minutes from the time I stop using the computer, my screen locks up, and I have to re-enter a password to get in.
What happens if you have to send out your computer for that, for service or whatever? What?
I create a dummy account.
Okay.
So they can't get into my main account, but they can get into the dummy account that works the whole computer. And but doesn't have the password manager or any of that stuff in it. So then they can still work on the computer and do whatever they need to.
So you don't have to be an administrator then to redo your computer?
Yeah, they can be an administrator, but you don't have to let them have they won't have access to the other login that has all the critical information.
So the question is too, in that is, well, if you know, because you showed as you had a lot of stuff that you were signed into everything. If your computer takes a crap and you had it serviced, well, if they have access into your account or into your computer, well, then they would have access to the other accounts, correct?
No, they could only access the one account,
Okay.
at least for the way Apple sets it up. They'd have to know the password and that for my other account. And I would just give them the one password for what I call a test account.
Jeff, you're creating a dummy user. So then they
Yeah,
log in through
right.
the dummy user.
Yeah. So they can't get to the stuff that's important.
Yeah.
And besides, the password manager is also locked by a separate password. So even if they did get into my user account, they couldn't get into the password manager because it's got its own password. That's why I like using a separate password manager than the ones that are built into the computers. It all depends on how, much you worry about security. I work enough with different websites for different groups that I'm pretty secure conscious on most of the passwords. So, any other questions? So if not, I was going to talk a little bit about backup because it gets to be that time of year where we've shot all summer and it's time to think about making sure you keep your data safe and backed up. And so I was going to talk a little bit about Backblaze. It's the one that I use. It is going up in price again, unfortunately. They're talking, I think, going up to about $80 a year. But it does automatic backups in the background. It's very simple to use. It takes a lot of time to get everything uploaded for the first time. You can keep old versions of your documents up to 30 days so that if you find out I trashed something, you can go back into Backblaze up to 30 days backwards and still find that document. It also, you can locate missing or stolen computers. And it works pretty decent for me. I've got 12 terabytes worth of storage on Backblaze right now. And I can probably show what it looks like. I'm backed up currently as of today at 8:10. I have I guess I got 26 terabytes backed up right now for 1.7, almost 1.8 million files. I can choose the different hard drives that I want to back up. So I pick out all the different drives, and I have quite a few different ones that I actually back up and that it maintains. And it just does it in the background. So it does slow the computer down at times. But it's a great way to have an extra backup that's in the cloud, and it's not super expensive. But I will say I had one customer that did it, and he had 16 terabytes that he uploaded, and it took 5 months to upload. So it can take some time. If you wanted to do it quicker, you can get a hard drive from Backblaze. You pay for the hard drive, you dump everything on it, and then you could send it to them and they'll load it into their system, and then they refund your money. So, and the same goes that if you needed to download a huge amount of stuff, you can actually order a USB drive and they'll mail it to you, and you download the stuff from the drive and then send it back and they'll give you a refund. But Backblaze is a great way to make sure that you have everything backed up to the cloud, and does it all in the background. So something that I recommend. This is their old pricing schedule. I just got an announcement yesterday that it's going up, and I believe it's going to go to $8 a month or $80 a year. So not a huge increase, but hard drives do get expensive, but it's unlimited data, so it doesn't cost you much to do.
You can back up more than one computer?
Yeah, but it's $80 per computer. So
And
if
Jeff,
you
I'm sorry, like I have my desktop, but then like my band photos are on one hard drive. Different, I use different hard drives. Is that
Yeah.
still considered one computer then?
Yeah, you can have
Okay.
multiple drives. Like I have something like 8 different hard drives backed up on this
And-
computer that I'm working from.
And does
So,
that automatically update? Like I will change out my hard drives depending on what photos I'm working with. Like if I plug in my band one right now, would it automatically, or would I have to send the updated information?
No, it would automatically update, but if it's disconnected too long, then you'll start to get warnings that the drive is missing.
Okay.
So it's really meant to have the drives always connected, because it uploads in the background, and it uploads pretty slow depending on your internet speed. Like I said, like for 1 terabyte, it would probably take about 3 weeks
Wow.
to upload. Now, when you're shooting normal stuff, it's usually not a terabyte worth of stuff that you need to upload right away. So then it's not as much of a problem, but it could be 1 or 2 days that it takes for it to upload that stuff in the background. I tell my customers to keep it on overnight so that it gets it uploaded. But really, I keep all my hard drives are all plugged in. So yeah, if you're disconnecting them, that could be a problem. Then you should just make sure you do a second backup of that drive,
Okay.
because a hard drive is going to fail. It's just a matter
Yeah.
of when.
Yeah.
And I actually recommend 3 backups total.
Jeff, I got a
And
question for you.
Sure.
When I don't know if the power went out by you and that, I know the power went out like 4 different times within the last week in that. And does that throw up a warning? It's like, hey, something happened, you'll have to back up.
No, it won't affect your cloud backup at all. It can affect your computer backup, and it can mess up your hard drives. That's a whole nother talk. I got all my computers and drives are on a UPS battery backup system, and that levels out the voltage spikes that can happen, especially out in the country here like we are, Clint. So when the power goes out for me, my computers and hard drives keep going for about half an hour before the battery backup dies. And so as long as I'm at home, I'm able to make sure that I can shut everything down the right way before that battery would run out. So if you've got important stuff, the UPS drives are not that expensive. The one that I use 2 at my desk here because I have 2 different computers and a lot of monitors. and hard drives, and they each ran about, well, Office Max has the APC ones, and I think they were under $200 each. And it's a great way to make sure that if you're getting a lot of power fluctuations, especially like we've had out here lately, they just take over while the power goes down. And for us, the power has gone down and comes right back right away. The battery just kicks in right away, so the computer doesn't even know anything happened. So that's
Yeah,
another thing.
I didn't have that, you know, my computer completely shut down. It's like, oh, you know.
Yep. And that can be really bad if you happen to be writing to a hard drive when you get a power failure. That's what will screw up the hard drive the worst.
I
mean,
was earlier transferring pictures and that using my desktop. You know, I always try to practice what I preach. I always like to copy and paste and that instead of transfer, because if you do a transfer, if something happens, there's a good chance of you losing everything. You know,
yeah, sometimes I use a program for copying stuff so that it does a check to make sure you're getting everything just the right way. I don't know if that's in this talk or not. But Carbonite is the other one that will do the same thing as Backblaze, but Carbonite does not play nice with Apple computers. So I don't have as much to recommend on Carbonite over Backblaze, but it's about the same.
Something I was going to mention, that if you have a backup drive permanently connected to your computer, a few years back, my wife had gotten ransomware, and it went through and started modifying all of the files on her computer. Plus, it started to go out to the connected drives and rename all of the files on those. And so I always want to have a backup that's disconnected.
Yep. And that's why this screen here shows my whole workflow that I do. I shoot, take the drive cards, put them in a reader. I sometimes skip the download to the desktop and go right into Lightroom. Lightroom then automatically backs it up to a spare hard drive that I have. It then goes to my main photo drive. And after it's gone to the main photo drive, I have, because this is a Apple program called Super Duper, and it makes an identical backup to this drive. And that is with my computer here. I then have my cloud backup that backs up from the primary drive. And then I have an offsite hard drive that I use a different backup program called GoodSync. And I just like to use two different backups because in case one doesn't work right, I figure the other one may. And I keep one that's off-site. I actually have them sitting behind me because it's the beginning of the month, and the first of the month I'll take and back up and do my third backup to this drive. And then it goes to a separate building that I keep them in, because I've even to the point, and they're in a fireproof safe in the separate building, because I figure the house could burn down, and this way I'd still have a backup of most of my files. So between having them in Backblaze and on an external drive, and Backblaze would probably be pretty safe against ransomware, because I would think that Backblaze's system must look at I'm pretty sure it looks at that, and if it sees something like that coming, it shuts down that pathway, I would think, pretty quick. But yeah, Well, it probably, yeah, ransomware might be able to get to my second backup because it's all in the same system. So if it just starts going after every hard drive that's out there, it could probably get into it. So this is the system that I recommend, though, at least having 3 different backups. This one I erase after a while, once I know I have this one and that I know that it's up to the cloud. But
Do you
you know,
recommend every, let's say, 5 years or 10 years, whatever, X amount of years? Like, okay, this drive is getting old. Do you replace that old drive with a new one?
yeah, after, depending on the warranty period, that's usually when I replace my hard drives. So every 3 to
Last
5
question.
years, because they go bad.
Jeff, can I ask a question?
Sure.
I get the impression that ransomware has to be triggered by you clicking on a email that you got that was sent by the ransom people. Is there any software that prevents that from happening when you click on the wrong email?
I don't.
As defending at ransomware.
Yeah. Some virus software, I think, would stop some of it, but it really, because you're clicking on a link, I don't click on links in emails generally until I know for sure where that email came from. So if I have somebody that sends me a link in anything that even remotely looks suspicious, I check the header of the email to make sure it's from the person that actually sent it. And I don't tend to click links. If I get a company that sends me a link, if I know their website, I'll go to their website to click the link over clicking a link in an email. I mean, it still happens. And I think some of the, virus protection protects some of it, but people still make the mistake and do it. And that's horrible when it happens.
The point is trying to recover from a mistake when you actually click something. As I remember,
Right.
when I first got into computers, a program starts by accessing a certain memory location in the operating system and says, go run a program. And it seems to me somebody could write a software that would interfere with that happening and thereby stop a ransomware code. But does that make any sense?
Yeah. Yeah, it could. It depends on how tricky, I guess, they are with the ransomware. I've never gotten caught with ransomware, but like here, I got something from Roger tonight. I will, if there's a link in there, I will go to the header and check to make sure that it says Roger Krill down in here. Probably the best way I can show is, let's see, where'd my junk folder go? Now let's see if I can find one of those. As long as I don't click the link, I'll be okay. But and I know I just got something from these people, some of these people. I get a lot of junk stuff, but I also get a lot of regular things. The biggest is lately the Geek Squad has been sending a lot of stuff out. I think that was actually a wacko one. That's the nice part. Some of these junk filters work pretty well. Yeah, here, like, this looks like it would be from the Geek Squad, except that you can see a whole lot of things. First off, it should say Geek Squad up here instead of the guy's name. And here's the guy's actual email. But if you click any of the stuff that's in here, that will give them information, or heaven forbid you call the phone number and that will get stuff started. Most of this is always garbage, so you've got to watch out for that stuff. The same as I always get it that, oh, your Windows computer has a virus, contact Microsoft. I hate to tell them, but I don't have a Windows computer that will have a virus. So, and I get those phone calls every now and then. But yeah, Wacko gets a lot of those things that
I've
are
been
pretty.
getting bills from Squarespace and I don't do business with them.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you get stuff from Square, you know, but if you get it, don't ever click those links. Man, here's one that I really should have gotten because that's the guy that Roger was telling me about. Put that back in. But you know, you get some of this stuff. You don't want to click the links on there. And you do want to make sure that it's from who it says. Wacko gets a ton of stuff saying lately that would you please I've had it where it's Roger's name shows up and it said I'm out of town and I need you to send some money for somebody for me. Can you please send some gift cards to so and so, and it gives a link and all that.
I got that
those are
too.
Yeah.
At one time. Yeah.
You never want to get
Nope.
close to any of those because that can definitely cause problems.
And Jeff,
But,
as you showed us your junk mail, do you ever like delete it? That stuff I just hate having like in any part of my computer in the junk mail just in case I accidentally hit anything.
Yeah,
And it's in your, do you keep it in there or do you get rid of those?
it gets it's deleted every 30 days.
Okay.
I don't even go into that junk mail too often unless there's something that I knew I was supposed to get an email from someone and I didn't receive it, then I'll check the junk mail. But
Got it.
I think I have something like 500 in there right now, and it just deletes every few days. Yeah, I've got 338 in there now. Most of it is just more or less junk for what I get in here, and some of it's actually stuff that I haven't figured out why it goes into the junk mail because it's standard emails, but they just keep sending so many of them.
Periodically, some of the newsletters get into the junk or spam folder. And
Yeah.
I think Ken was one, and a couple of months ago, I had another one, and I have no idea why it just periodically put some of the newsletters into their junk folder. It's not that large a group, you know, and I
No.
don't do mass mailings, so sometimes I just tell people, usually the newsletter will go out on a Wednesday, mostly Thursdays. But if you don't get one Thursday before, check your spam, junk folder, whatever you have, or
Yep.
email me. I'll tell you to do it.
Yeah, I even get stuff from Ken that goes into my junk mail every now and then. And I've got him highlighted as a special person. And
Yeah.
I do keep all those people, everything that I want to get as email is in my contact list so that it's supposed to know. But Gmail, I haven't quite figured out yet on how to do most of it. iCloud is a little better, but even they still put stuff that I don't mind getting into my junk folder. So that's why I don't generally delete it. Now, Wacko gets more of the junk stuff because of just the word Wacko seems to bring out the nuts. So we get a lot of interesting stuff there. So that's about all I had. Stop sharing so I can see everybody's faces.
The one thing
Oh.
the one thing I would add is, you know, I really like GoodSync only because you can program it as I update my photo library. It takes out the photos that I have since deleted. You know, if I'm going back and working on something that's 6 months old and then I decide it's trash and I delete it, GoodSync will actually do that. When I back up with GoodSync, it'll take those photos out of my catalog.
Yep. Yeah,
So
it
that
will.
if I
Yeah.
have to recover, I don't get everything I've ever taken in my life back.
No, it does a smart sync, so it gets rid of the stuff that you don't want and it keeps the stuff that you do want. Backblaze is sort of nice in that it does the same thing, but it keeps the old stuff for 30 days just in case you change your mind. But,
Okay, so then Blackblaze would actually start deleting things that were real old that I had deleted off of my hard drives.
right, yeah. But
Okay.
it'll wait 30 days before it starts deleting it. Or
Okay.
you can sign up for a year version where they'll keep the stuff for up to a year. I've never figured it was worth that extra cost to keep stuff for a year, because usually if I want to get rid of it, and I have other ways too that I can find some of that stuff sometimes. But no, GoodSync, I love GoodSync. It works well, and what I like is you can just back up one set of folders to from one drive to another. Super Duper will only back up whole hard drives, so that's got a limitation there, that it's just basically cloning the hard drive. GoodSync, you can either clone the whole drive or you can clone just parts of it to another folder on another drive. So that works out good that way. So GoodSync is a good program for backup as well. So.
Well, it's extremely important to have multiple backups in multiple locations.
Yep. Especially with hard drives getting as inexpensive as they are. I mean, the Seagate drives that you can pick up at Costco for anywhere from $130 to $170 to 8 terabytes of space. You know, buy a couple of those and, you know, have each one backed up to one another. I tell everybody buy them in pairs and then, you know, have it back up every night when you're not working from your day's worth of work, or every couple of days if you wanted to. With GoodSync, you can schedule that stuff. You know, it's cheap insurance for, you know, you'd hate to lose all your images forever. And that's all they are, is little bits and pieces. So definitely worth keeping. Any other questions, comments? Quiet group. Although we had 33
I just
tonight.
changed all of my backup drives from 4 terabytes to 8 terabytes. And I was starting to get close to using up all my 4 terabytes.
I've got, I hate to say how many I have. My main photo hard drive is 2 different drives now. And each, they used to be each 12 terabyte. Now I'm up to 20 terabyte drives. But I buy the enterprise drives so that they last longer. They're guaranteed for 5 years. So it makes it a little safer. But after 3 or 4 years, I start worrying about them and making sure that I have an extra backup somewhere just in case. I'm paranoid to lose my drives. I've had it where I got hit by our electric pole got hit by lightning one summer, and it came down the pole and went into the building and blew out my battery backup which had a surge protector on it. It then went and blew the surge protectors on each individual hard drive because I had another set there, and it burned out my first and secondary hard drives. It just totally scrambled them. I had to go to my third backup that wasn't connected, and I only lost like 3 or 4 days worth of photos that I was able to find most of those again, all with one simple lightning strike
Yeah,
because it hit the pole.
Yeah, Jeff, I'm paranoid too. For me, I'm so paranoid. When later tonight, I'll actually unplug my computer from the wall and that. And none of my backup, the only time I back up my stuff is when I want to back it up. I never leave my external hard drive plug in. The only time I plug it is when I'm gonna back it up. When I'm done, I unplug it right away. I'm so paranoid.
With Backblaze, I got to keep mine plugged in, but I have enough surge protectors, and I'm actually having a house surge protector put in either later this year or sometime this winter to protect the whole house, since we're having enough lightning strikes lately and power outages that I thought a surge protector would be a good idea. So
yeah, I'm a bit leery after I had that ransomware hit, but I do say that the backups that I had became invaluable for that.
Yep.
And we didn't lose very much.
yeah, that's why, like I said, right now I've got them in a backpack sitting behind me here that I'm going to be plugging them in tomorrow to do my I'm 4 or 5 days late on my monthly backup, but it's not anything super critical because I've got everything backed up so many different ways. But it's worth having a set that's not plugged in, that you do at least once a month maybe, or once every couple weeks if you're doing a lot of work.
Yeah.
So yeah.
When you do swap out hard drives, don't bring them all back at once. A former president of the Racine Camera Club found that out. He brought his hard drives all back, was doing all the backups and that. Well, he left for a little while, and his dehumidifier caught fire, and he lost all his images. So
Yep. That's where Backblaze would come and save you, because everything would be there. It just would be a lot of work to download, like for me, 20 some terabytes worth of data. But no, it shows it's worth having backups. So I'll always harp on that every year to everybody.
Yeah, I agree with you, Jeff. I'm kind of that way too.
So
it's extremely important. If it's something really critical, I'll back it up right away. In that, let's say I take pictures of something extremely important, I'll back it up right as soon as possible, not wait weeks.
Yep. No. Yeah, go ahead, Jane.
Another question I have is, when you do want to change out one of your external hard drives and you want to get the information that you have on an external to another external, what's the quickest way to do that?
Yeah, there is no quick way. I use, either Good Sync or Super Duper to just basically copy it over. But yeah, that hard drive, if it's a big hard drive like my 12 terabytes or even now the new 20 terabyte ones that I have, they'll take 2-3 days for it to copy over.
Yeah.
Even 8 terabytes will take overnight, depending on how you have them connected. I use RAID boxes, so all the drives are in 2 metal boxes, so they transfer fairly quick. But if you're using USB 3 or USB-C, there's some limitation on the speed. So yeah, it can be overnight to do 8 terabytes.
Yeah,
So and there's nothing you can do about it. It just takes that time. If you don't work on the computer, it'll go quicker than if you're working on the computer when it's doing it.
Jeff, I've got kind of a follow-up question. If you were gonna buy another backup hard drive, would you actually copy from the original backup to the new one? Or would you just re-back up to the new drive?
It can depend. I've done it both ways. If I know I'm gonna have to work on the drive, then I'll work off the backup so that I can keep working on the main drive. And then what I'd have to do is go and do another backup from the main drive to get it caught up. But like I said, GoodSync is one that it will look and compare the drives and it will end up making them identical. So you could do it from 2 different drives as long as it's coming from the same basic source. So it can do it, but it gets a little more complicated. It's better to do it from the main drive that you want to back up.
Jeff,
Just
when you use an external hard drive and you have the option to have any additions, changes, or deletes automatically written out to that drive. Is there an advantage of doing that, or is it better to do something you've suggested, work on something for a few days and then move that over to the hard drive?
Yeah, it sort of depends on how much you need to work on that drive. I would rather work from the main drive to copy everything. My stuff backs up every night after I'm done, usually about 9 or 10 o'clock at night. It just kicks in and the backup happens automatically through GoodSync. And so I don't have to worry about it. So it's just as easy to do that way. And then if I make changes to that same file, if I'm still working with those, that next night it gets updated again.
Okay. All right.
So, it all depends on your workflow. I also have it where my RAID box actually runs 2 drives that are the same, and it just keeps them identical all by itself. As I change one, it changes the other right away. I'm not liking the RAID software as much anymore, so I'm not doing that as much. But that's
Okay,
another way
thanks.
to do it too.
Now I
Jeff,
know
this
for,
would- I'm
Go
sorry,
ahead.
Glenn. I was just
No, go
curious,
ahead.
on your workflow, you might have had this on your workflow, but you use then both GoodSync as well as Backbuster? Is that correct?
Backblaze is the cloud
Backblaze.
backup that I use, and GoodSync is just to copy hard drives from one to the other.
Thank you.
Jeff, could you make that workflow chart that you showed us available to us?
Sure. I can actually probably I'll turn the whole thing into a PDF and I can send it out to everybody.
Oh, that'd be terrific.
So I know for me, what I do is, let's say Oshkosh, because I did the air show up there, and I took 4,700, 4,800 pictures, about 5,000 pictures. So what I did is downloaded all the pictures to my desktop. Then I made a copy directly to my external hard drive, unplugged the external hard drive. Then what I also did then too is I made another copy on my hard drive. I made 2 copies on the hard drive on my desktop. And the copy version is that's where I start doing all my edits and that, delete the pictures that might be blurry, and that if I ever make a mistake, at least I can go back to my other hard drive, external or my internal, to pull up a picture like, oh, I didn't mean to delete that picture. Granted, you can go to your trash bin and get it.
Yeah, you could do that.
But
It's just that if you have 2 copies on one drive, that I don't like keeping them on your main hard drive, only because that drive gets used so much that drive's going to fail sooner than, say, the external drive. So
yes,
better off just doing everything on external and just running your desktop drive for just running your programs, and that's what I do. So, and when I travel, I just travel with a couple of 4 terabyte SSD drives that I can store everything on. And they back up automatically. The 2 of them, I copy the stuff over in Lightroom to the main drive, which is the main travel drive, and then the backup drive is copied at the same time. So I have 2 sets, and that second drive is one that I never touch because it has all the original files in it. The main drive is the one that I work from, so that if I do delete something that I wish I hadn't, I could go back to that backup drive.
now I do know my on one, I can delete the picture and it will permanently delete the picture. It will bypass the trash bin and it'll delete it forever. So that's why I always like working on a backup copy,
Yeah.
just in case.
I would just have them both on separate drives instead of 2 files on the same computer. But that's how I'd work.
No, it
Whatever
makes
works
sense.
for you too.
I mean, it does make sense because with you, always adding and deleting, I mean, gigs upon gigs, and that, you're gonna wear out run out the space in that. There's a shelf life on how many times you can write and rewrite and delete.
Yeah, and that's why I don't do as much onto the desktop of my computer anymore. It's all goes onto separate hard drives, because the computer desktop drive gets used an awful lot. Although my new one is solid state, so isn't going to wear out because of time. It's just going to wear out after you use it too much. But
and that's correct. Well, with for me, with my 60 megapixel camera, I mean, 250 gigs worth of pictures, that adds up quick.
Oh yeah, it can. That's why hard drives fortunately have gotten inexpensive for the spinning ones, at least, and solid state's getting there. So
For you, where do you keep your Lightroom catalog? You keep it with
I
you?
keep it on my main computer. It works the fastest that way. For a while, before I got this newest computer, because my old computer was getting too slow, the hard drive was slow. I was keeping it on a portable drive, just that was a super fast portable drive. And that worked pretty well, but you still could see there was a lag as it had to go to that drive to do it. So now all my new computers have extra, instead of getting 1 terabyte hard drive, I get 2 terabyte hard drives for my main computer. So I have plenty of room, because my Lightroom catalog is up to something like 400 megabytes or 400 gigabytes, I should say. And starting to take up too much space. So when I travel, I have put it on the hard drive, and slows you down somewhat for work, but at least then you can move it from computer to computer.
when you were talking about size and that, since I've got my camera, I don't know, 6 months ago and that, I mean, I already have 1 terabyte filled up already
Yeah.
worth of pictures.
I've got a customer that has the new Nikon Z9. He just came back from Africa and he had shot 4 terabytes of files over 40,000 pictures.
Yeah,
So,
the good and the bad to the new high resolution cameras.
yep, yep. And the bad part was he came back from that trip and he went to put them onto his main hard drive. And all of a sudden he's calling me on the phone saying, I can't get these loaded onto the main hard drive. And I took a look at it and I said, well, you filled it up. You need a new set. So he had to spend another $1,500 to add another 20 terabytes of hard drive space. And he doesn't know how to delete. So I know he's going to run out of space again soon. So.
Well, did you hear about the new addition that they put into some of the Canon cameras with the in-body stabilization? They figured out that they can take and make multiple pictures using the in-body stabilization to move the sensor around.
Oh,
and
yeah.
use different pixels, and they can come up with a 200 megapixel image. It won't take long to fill up a drive with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what called pixel shift or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it shifts like 1 or 2 pixels in each direction or something and adds the stuff all together. Although I think Olympus had that first. I think Canon sort of copied them, but
I know Sony has it where you can do the pixel shift too, and that, and like what you guys were describing, 200 what meg per picture.
yeah. I don't know if you need all that space, all that much. That's a pretty fine detailed shot.
Well, you know, with your friend that with the Z9, I know my friend actually has 2 of them, and that one thing is my goal is, hate to say this, I want to take less pictures, but I want to get better quality pictures. You know, let's say if you're doing sporting events, you know, like with that one individual, 10,000 pictures. I don't want to go through 10,000 pictures in that. You know, I only want a few good pictures out of the 10,000.
Yep. Yep. Or you're spending all your time deleting the images that you don't like. I mean, when I go to the racetrack and I shoot the race cars, I'll maybe shoot in a day, you know, 1,500, 2,000 shots. Well, by the time I go through my editing process, I'm down to about maybe 150, 200 shots out of 2,000. And as long as you do that and get rid of those pictures, that's great. But I got to say, it takes a lot of time to go through even 2,000 shots to check each one to see if they're sharp or not and delete the ones that aren't sharp.
Yeah, that's what I'm in the process of for Oshkosh pictures and that, you know, it's ridiculous. It's like,
yeah.
I want to get less pictures, but I want to time the timing just right. Not just, you know, like, oh, I got unlimited space and shoot anything that moves. It's like, I don't want that.
Well, I applaud you for that, because too many photographers do the machine gun style shooting. And we used to, I hate to say it, back in the old days when we had film, we only had 36 shots. So you had to make those shots count. It's not like today where you can shoot 30 or 40 shots in about 2 seconds and then, you know, delete them all. I was taught to, you know, make my shots count, and most of the time when I'm shooting race cars and I'm doing panning shots, I'm only doing 3 or 4 shots at a crack on each car as they come around a bend. So it's easy enough for me to say, okay, that one's not in focus, that one's done, that one is, we keep it, and the rest are done. But yeah, some people will shoot 30 or 40 shots of something and then they don't delete them. And those all take up a lot of space after a while.
Jeff,
So it's
a different kind of question, if you would.
sure.
if you're saving pictures that you took 15 or 20 years ago in digital, the quality of those pictures isn't anything near what you're doing today. And since you seem to have a business, those pictures don't seem to be very valuable in terms of you selling them. You'd almost have to reshoot an assignment to get decent pictures, and yet you're saving, I gather, pictures that are 20 or 30 years old. And
I'm
lower quality.
saving pictures that, yeah, are probably 10 or 12 years old, and I'm going back and actually re-editing some of those pictures with the new software between Photoshop, Lightroom, Luminar Neo, with what they can do with the artificial intelligence to improve a shot. You can actually bring back a lot of detail. My older cameras, my Nikon D3, which was only a 12 megapixel camera that I shot with for years, I was able to, with that camera way back, who knows how long ago, I could do wall size prints with it, and it was only a 12 megapixel camera. I was a little more careful on how I shot back then because it took a better exposure. You didn't have the latitude and everything that you have today. But with the new programs, you can actually still bring out a lot of detail from those cameras. So I am getting rid of old stuff, but not as quick as I used to.
Save your old pictures if they're good, because my website, what you seen, a lot of those pictures was with only a 4 megapixel camera. So I was able to save those pictures with this newer software.
Yeah, and if you're not making big stuff, that also helps quite a bit. So
yeah, you can get an 8x10 picture, and that's plenty.
Yeah.
In that.
Yeah. No, it's so. Yeah,
And
it's.
now, if you make canvas paintings, well, then you could probably go bigger than that, because
Yeah, you probably could. Yeah.
But it would be nice to go back what you're describing, because it'd be nice to have the 60 megapixel camera instead of a 4 megapixel camera, which I had 20 years ago. It'd be great to do it. Now, the sad thing is some of those places that I've gone to no longer exist. I know Wall Arch, when I took a picture of that, it was, of course, there. Now it collapsed. Well, that's never going to happen.
Yeah. No.
Same thing with cities, and that I did Toronto I've been doing Toronto for I think 25 years. You won't get the same picture. All the skyscrapers.
That's true. Okay, I see we're at 9 o'clock, so I'm gonna wrap this up, and Clint, we can probably finish up. Let me while I'm still going here, next month for everybody, we're doing creative floral portraits, portraits of flowers with textures and plugins by Hazel Meredith. So that should be a really good meeting next month. The month after, we're not quite sure. We're hoping Jim Karofsky can be ready with a talk that he has on Phil Flash. December, we have our pizza party, which reminds me I better see if the room's available for that. Our January meeting, just to give you an idea what we have coming up, we've got a lot of guest speakers this year. Our January meeting, which is January 2nd, hopefully everybody will be done with their hangover by the 2nd. We have storm photography by Mike Mazul. February, we're doing our favorite images slideshow. So you will need to get your favorite images to Jane. I'm not sure when. It looks like January 26th would be when she'd want those latest. March, we're doing an image critique with guest speaker with Lewis Katz. We'll have all the members send in images, and then he will be critiquing them. So that should be a really good one. In April, we have Mike Moats coming to talk about getting it all in focus without focus stacking. Mike is, all he does is specialize in macro photography and close-up photography. May, we're doing post-processing techniques, and June, we're doing the member slideshow. So we've got a really great lineup that our board members help put together, and we should have a really interesting year. So the other thing that I wanted to mention before we finish is that I am going to be redoing the Falls Camera Club's website. It's an old website now. It's been going for almost 10 years. And Squarespace has a new setup for a better, easier way to create a website. And I want to convert our site over to it, which means basically rebuilding it from the ground up. So in the next, probably during this winter, I'm going to ask everybody for images for their galleries, because we're going to recreate new galleries. So it'll be a good time for you to start gathering your images together for your photo gallery. And we have to figure out how far back we want to keep old images that we've shot. The website has a spot where when we've done trips, and I don't have all those old images. I'd have to try to get them down from the website, and that's really difficult. So I'm thinking we're only going to keep the last couple of years of field trips up on the new website. New website will be a little more interactive and look a lot neater than the old site does. So something that we have that I'll be working on in the next few months. So with that, Clint, I'll let you finish us up with anything else that you might
Clint, I
have.
just want to quickly interrupt. Coming up, and this would be good for your September challenge, in the town of Richfield, there is the Threshery on the 16th or 17th, not a field trip, but it has old things there. And it's really cool. It's right at the historical park, right on 164. It is the same weekend, that Saturday is the same weekend as Holy Hill, which is beautiful to shoot, the art fair. And then across the street from there is the Holy Hill Art Farm. So that's all going on Saturday, September 16th. If you go on the Saturday, make sure you allow for standstill driving. It's going to be very crowded. So Sunday the 17th, though, might be a good option for the Threshery.
You're absolutely correct, because I know I took a helicopter ride last year and it was miles of traffic. It was horrible. It's like I was thinking, thank God I'm in the helicopter. And that
did the helicopter take you to the fair and drop you off?
It could. It
Front
could have
row
been
parking.
in that front row.
I tell you that, yeah, the cars are past my place and up to Hillside Road, which is a couple miles backwards, and it really gets bad. I don't plan to go anywhere on that weekend, especially on that Saturday.
Thank you for bringing up those wonderful opportunities, and that
Yeah.
there are a lot of great places to go. So if anyone else also has some suggestions, field trips, road trips, please feel free to, tell everyone.
Yep.
This is Peter. There is a kite festival at Veterans Park this weekend.
Oh, that would be neat too.
That should be nice. I mean, the weather will be decent. It won't be too hot. I know this weekend I'll be probably most likely in the helicopter this year. So I'm looking forward for that.
That's always fun.
So, hey, talking about a helicopter, how many people would be maybe interested in doing some aerial photography in a helicopter? Okay, well, we got two,
Maybe.
three in that, four.
I think I would.
All right, well, let me see what I can do in that and go from there in that. Talking about a helicopter, right? Don't forget in September 20th, hopefully weather permitting, at the EEA Chapter 1158 in West Bend at the West Bend Airport. Hopefully Flight for Life will be coming in. So if anyone has any questions about the photo challenges, free, go ahead, email me, you can call me, whatever. I'm going to try to do every month. I'm going to try and do the month of and the next month on examples. So I guess with that saying, I hope we'll probably see you next month. So thank
Just
you
to let-
guys.
Just to let you know, I did put the Racine Astronomical Society information, including the website, in the chat. So
Yes. Thank you very much for putting that in the chat. I really do appreciate
Great,
that.
Brian. Thank
The
you.
in the newsletter, the address is also, remember, for Chapter 1158 in West Bend too. So that's right off of Highway 33. So, all right, guys. Well, thank you guys for coming out. I think it was a pretty good, little hiccup at the very beginning, but I think it worked out really
Yep.
good. So thank you, everyone.
Good turnout.